You can't treat Campaign Against Antisemitism as experts. They're like unhinged headbanger Zionist freaks. Like, why are you asking them for advice on anything? Where's the Palestinian people's apology from the British state for spending almost 2 centuries constructing a project of racist mass murder that views them as not a people? The land has no people. They're these subhuman savages that can be murdered en masse because they're not Jewish. And in particular, the SRA, the BSB, the GMC, the Charities Commission, those are all incredibly vulnerable to a judicial review. And because we're in Britain, because everyone's very pressed, because the level of political consciousness here is still very low, because our side, the anti-Zionist radical left, is disorganized, we haven't yet brought those judicial reviews. But in my opinion, it would be extremely easy to win. You would just go into court and you look at the example of the SRA, the Solicitors Regulation Authority that regulates solicitors in this country. They receive training from Campaign Against Antisemitism. I cannot stress enough how insane that is. Campaign Against Antisemitism are openly racist. They're apologists for genocide and apartheid. They are apologists for the racist, fascist ideology of Zionism. The idea that a British state regulator should be receiving training from such openly racist people is obviously immoral and obviously unlawful. It's not just that they receive training from that and other organizations. It's that they routinely rely on so-called experts from these organizations, just openly racist apologists for an apartheid state while it commits a genocide. The idea that such a person should be coming into court and saying, yes, I'm an expert on racism, actually. It's like, you're extremely racist. And it's not difficult when you get the right lawyer involved to cross-examine such so-called experts and just say, just so we're clear, you've come to court today to suggest that you are an expert on fighting against racism. And then you just spend literally hours explaining to the court, like, you're extremely racist. And to be honest, they're so coddled. They're so used to being these respectable. They spent 5 years fighting against Corbynism. Like, I'm just concerned about anti-Semitism and I'm an anti-racist. And it's like they've been drinking their own Kool-Aid. And then you just take them into court and be like, oh, you're not in Kansas anymore. And then you just cross-examine them and you just literally say, well, you're really racist, aren't you? And they're like, no. And then you just explain for hours, like, yeah, you are. The easiest example, always the easiest example, you ask them a few questions, you say, you're a Zionist. Yes. That means you're in favor of maintaining a Jewish demographic majority in Israel. Is that right? And they go, yes. They almost always just say yes to that. And you're like, oh, so you're in favor of demographic engineering to ensure that a racial majority is maintained. Should we do that in Britain? It's so easy when you actually confront them with just hold up a mirror to them. And then you take them to the law of return, so-called 1950. Every Jew may return to Israel as an ole. You support that law, do you? Yeah. It's direct race discrimination, isn't it? Like, no, it's not. And you're like, no, come on, think about it. It's discriminating between Jews and non-Jews. It's direct race discrimination. And they're like, so you're in favor of direct race discrimination? And they're like, they have no answer. These people have no answer. They've never been challenged like this. But when you do, like with humility, calmly, with facts, and without moral judgment, you just say, well, this is what you think. You support that law, do you? Yeah. And then you take them to the basic, the nation state law. You know, that's racist, isn't it? And they're like, oh, well, and then, the liberal Zionists are trying to like sort of backpedal their way out of it. You take them to the ICJ jurisprudence. You just go, well, it's an apartheid state, isn't it? They're like, and it's easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. You go into court and just be like, what? Who asked you? You're racist. Well, I'm not trying to be nasty. Like, you're just really racist, and you proclaim your racism every day in all kinds of ways. Like, which is fine. You do what you want. Like, be a Zionist if you want, but just don't lecture anyone on racism. You're an apologist for colonialism and apartheid. That's how we win. And in my opinion, these regulators are extremely vulnerable, and it's surprising to me that some of the groups that exist haven't just gone like, what? You can't do that. You can't treat Campaign Against Antisemitism as experts. They're like unhinged headbanger Zionist freaks. Like, why are you asking them for advice on anything?